Hashem Svasai Tzipzach Ufia Gitalasacha. We are now starting Sefer Amos. Sefer Amos starts Divrei Amos Asher Hayam Benoktim Mitzkoa Asher Chaza al Yisrael Bimei Uzziah Melech Yehuda Umei Yeravam Ben Yoash Melech Yisrael Shnasayim Lifnei Harash. So first of all, we're back in understanding exactly the historical context of this Navi. The Navi of Amos was a Navi who prophesied at the same time as Hosea, Yeshayahu, and Micha. So the question is, why do we need 4 Nevi'im to be telling the people the Nevuos? And really, it's a good Musar Haskel for us in education. In education, there are different styles, there are different ways that different teachers connect to different people. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows for the different styles of the Nevi'im to interact with the people of the time. So Amos, we don't hear that he was Ben somebody. So we understand that he was not the son of a prophet. And he's from Nokdim. The word Nokdim reminds us of what happened in Bereshis with Yaakov, the Nikudim Akudim. Remember when Lavan and Yaakov had all of these, the situation with the speckled and the spotted cattle. So that's the same wording. And so we know that he dealt with cattle. And he was basically, he is going to be giving mostly Nevuah about the north, even though he himself is from the south, because Tekoa is south of Yerushalayim. Now, he reigned during the time of Uzziah. Uzziah, we know, he was a king, Melech Yehuda, and what did he do? He decided it was a good idea for the king to give a ketores in the Kodesh Kodashim in the Beis HaMikdash. Now, he is Melech Yehuda. He was not a Kohen. He was not the Kohen Gadol. And so he took the power that was really not allotted to him. And for that, there was an earthquake and he was punished. We also understand just the historical context that this is happening 130 years before the Chorban, during the Bayis Rishon, during the first Beis HaMikdash. So, and one more interesting piece of information. In this, there is, in Pasuk Beis, it says Vayomar, and there is the Shalsheles, there is the trup that keeps on going. Also, throughout Sefer Amos, there are letters, the shin and the sin are sometimes changed up, and the tzadi and the samach are sometimes changed up. Why is this significant? It's significant because it represents who Amos really was. Amos was a man with a speech impediment. And similar to Moshe Rabbeinu, who had a speech impediment, Amos wasn't really that interested in giving Nevuah. But Hashem decided that he knows better and gave the Nevuah through Amos. But Amos had issues with his speech, and for that reason, the written context does include some substitutions, almost to hint to us, or to show significantly that when Amos was speaking, he spoke with a speech delay. And that is something that compares him to Moshe Rabbeinu. So obviously, Amos is a very, very special man. So what is the Nevuah that Amos receives? So, Al Shlosha Pishei Damesek Val Arba Lo Ashivenu. So in Pasuk Gimel, we're going to start with Damesek. And Damesek is the first of the nations that Hashem says you were not very, you sinned 3 times, but on the 4th, Lo Ashivenu, you can't do tshuva from, and you're going to get punished. And what ultimately is going to happen is that we're going to go through all of the different nations that receive this level of punishment, and it starts with Damesek. Now, why? What is happening here? So Aram or Syria, what did they do? So what they did was they threshed the people of Gilead with sledges of iron. That they took these iron rods and they actually went over people with it. And what does this represent? It represents cruelty. So Hashem is saying that there were three sins, the three, perhaps some say that it was the three cardinal sins of Shvichas Damim, Gilui Arayos, and Avodah Zarah, but that they did. But on the fourth, when you took it over the top with, in this case, with cruelty, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, there is nothing that I can, you can't come back from this. And so really then Hashem goes through and says exactly what's going to happen, and the punishments are really significant. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes to Al Shlosha Pishei Aza, which is the Plishtim. The Plishtim, again, what did they do? They were cruel. And what did they do in this context? So when people ran away, they tried to escape from what was happening. What did the Plishtim do? Took the escapees and brought them back and gave them to Edom. They were similarly cruel, and they allowed for, perhaps this is a reference to the second Beis HaMikdash, where the Plishtim really took and helped out Edom. Some say that the first Damasek did a similar type of experience, and this level of significant cruelty, Hashem says, I cannot forgive, nor can I condone, and for that you will be punished. Okay, after Aza, we have Al Shosha Pishei Tzor, Val Arba Lo Ashivenu. Then we have the people of Tzor. And what did they do? They too helped Edom, and they didn't remember the brotherly, the Lo Zachru Bris Achim. They didn't remember the bris of brothers. What is this in reference to? So perhaps it's in reference to Yaakov and Esav, that they're brothers, and there should have been a level of loyalty. This is your brother. Or it could be that, remember that Shlomo HaMelech made a treaty with Hiram Melech Tzor, and the people of Tzor didn't hold to it. Okay, after that, we have Koamar Hashem al Pishei Edom Bal Arba Lo Hashivenu. Now we have the people of Edom. Edom, we understand, they have gone throughout history, always doing terrible things to Bnei Israel. They, all throughout the time, there have been the pogroms, and there have been the desecration of the Basei Mikdash, and they have just been absolutely terrible. And so for that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that He's going to send fire to Teman, etc., etc., and there is going to be a very significant level of retribution. And the idea being, again, that Edom did things that were just absolutely beyond horrible. And then finally, we get to the people of Edom, of Ammon. And Ammon too. Remember, who's Ammon? So we understand Ammon also, Moab and Ammon. Ammon were the people that came from the descendants of Lot. If it wasn't for Avram Avinu, then there wouldn't have even been descendants of Lot. And what did the people of Ammon do? They split open pregnant women. They ripped them so that no one would be able to challenge their rights to the land. And clearly there's a level of cruelty. So there is this understanding of how bad the nations are, not for the immediacy of what they did, and perhaps the enormity of the situation of the three cardinal sins, representing the three pillars that the world is on: Al Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. So here too, we have that murder, idolatry, and adultery are all in reference to that. So that they destroyed. But when they took it over the top with a level of cruelty, with a level of not having loyalty, with a level of just going beyond, then what it did was, it wasn't just something that in their actions, but then it was just the fabric of who they are as human beings. Real cruelty, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates that. He can't forgive it, He can't condone it, and then the totality of what they did, then Hashem holds them all accountable. Why is it significant? Why do we care of what's happening with the other nations? Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, and perhaps He is either trying to give us a really important warning, saying, look what's going to happen unless you do better, or HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to perhaps give us some bitachon and emunah and say, listen, all of your enemies are going to get their retribution. You don't have to worry. They are significantly punished because of what they did to you. So come to me, stay with me, because I am going to be your strongest advocate. And that's a really important message. Now, that's the important message that right now the 10 tribes have to receive. And Amos, as much as he is not one to really want to give the message is an important one. And he has, so to speak, Klal Yisrael on his shoulders. So while he doesn't necessarily want the job, he, like Moshe Rabbeinu, is, this is his destiny, and this is what he is important. The importance of it is very, very significant for us. It's significant to understand that Hashem really hates cruelty, that midos tovos are so significant, and in addition to everything else. And Hashem loves us so much that He is, using the other nations to point out the things that we have to work on so that we can do better and be better. And for that, we can understand Divrei Amos. The word Divrei is suggests that it's going to be harsh words, and it also reminds us of the two other times, either in Yirmiyahu or in Koheles, where it mentions the same wording. And that is to suggest that harsh things have to be spoken of, but these things are important messages for us for generations.